If you like your coffee as much as I do, you have to try this coffee. It's called Police Coffee. You get it online, policecoffee.com. It's amazing coffee, but more amazing is what this company is doing with their profits. 50% of their profits go to families of fallen officers. That makes this a win-win. Try it out. You won't be disappointed. Check it out. policecoffee.com. All right. Hey, Mike Nunley getting real. Tonight we got a guest. We got Todd the Barber.
Todd the Barber.
Yeah, everybody's been
surfing Barber.
Yeah.
Your fellow barber, neighborhood barber.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Counselor.
Yeah. I try,
Yeah, exactly. It's going great, brother. How you been, man?
Oh, hanging in there. Life is constantly moving.
Yeah. How was snowboarding the other day? You went up
actually a very interesting night of snowboarding. The first run is it's the time that I get hurt before I even get to go down the first hill.
Is this habitually something that happens, or
no? Actually, that's the thing that sucks about it, because when you have young adults, they're at work, and just getting off the lift. Some people don't know how to go down that little chute, that little run.
Right.
And so this couple ahead of us, they go down, boom, flat on their back, head on the snow. So I'm thinking normally they would slow the lift down, say, let them get up so they can get out of the way, and then you come. It ain't slowing down. And I'm looking in the room, and the kid's got his feet up, and he's on his phone. Or should I say young adult? And I'm just like, yo, and it's going, and we have no choice but to go. Otherwise, we stay on and go back down.
Oh, can't do that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You just put your board right over the top of them and go.
So we're going down. Me and my son's on my left, and I'm just like, we can't turn because they're literally on the part where you can go out this way. Mm-hmm. You can go either left or right. And so we can't stop, because it's a hill. And we're not strapped in, only one foot strapped in, the other one. So I'm dragging my back foot, but the front foot's still going. I grab my son on his arm, and he's going down. I go down, and my left hip, my left elbow, and his elbow on his right, because I held his arm, went on top of my leg. So it just gave me a Charlie horse. So I'm just like,
Great way to start
Try
out.
not to hit the guy, the girl and her dude's head, because they're like this. Like doing snow
so they're not moving.
You know what I mean? Because they're hurt. And then here comes another couple, and I'm like, oh my God. So I push my son to the side, and I'm like dragging, and they come down. So now there's 6 of us on the ground, and then he finally turns it off, to let us all get up. I'm just like, yo, man, you got to pay attention, dude. This is how people get hurt.
Yeah.
So now I'm hurt, and I'm just dragging myself. I'm going down the hill, and it's just pain, that muscle, because it's, you're on your, it's just like surfing, you know what I mean? You're just on your, you're like what do you call that? You're grooving, and it's just flexing the whole time, and it's just pain. So the rest of the trip could have been more fun. I made it fun as best as I could, because that's how I am. But I was just in pain. So every time I got to the bottom, I'm just laying there. It's like, I don't want to snowboard no more.
That's too bad, because man, you were looking forward to going. I mean,
obviously, this.
Actually, you were talking about a trifecta that weekend.
That notion always comes about, and then you wake up that morning, and you're just like, oh God,
Tell everybody that's listening what the trifecta is.
So a trifecta in my world is because I love anything on the board. Mm-hmm. You got snowboarding, surfing, and skating. That's pretty much the 3 board sports that simulates each other very well.
Mm-hmm.
So a trifecta would be considered, like, depending on how you do your run, most likely it's better to do the surfing in the morning, get that out of the way, knock out an hour, and then skate right after, whether it's at a skate park or just bombing a hill or just cruising up and down the boardwalk.
Mm-hmm.
Come back, get some lunch, and then head up the hill and then catch the night session snowboarding.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to get that all done in one day.
Yeah.
To be considered a trifecta, and that's something I've been kind of.
Have you done it?
I have.
Yeah.
I have. It's been a while, but I'm trying to do it with my son before he, he journeys into his world of the military.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole other story we're going to get into.
And
before
the winter ends.
Yeah.
So we still got a month or so. We still got some.
Yeah.
They're gonna get some snow dumping up there.
Yeah. I've never did a trifecta, but we used to go surfing in the morning, and then we'd go home. We'd load our dirt bikes up, and we'd head out into the desert. And we'd ride
and that
bikes.
would be cool, but it doesn't. It's two different sports that are fun to do, but it doesn't fall in that trifecta thing because it's just a board.
Oh, so it doesn't fall into Todd's trifecta thing.
That's what I was like in my world.
Yeah, in your world. Welcome to Todd's world.
Yeah. But that's as long as you're doing something, that's always a good thing. Especially as we get older, when we're realizing that how fast time flies and how short life is getting. Per se, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely understand.
I'm right behind you. You know what I mean?
You're not that close behind. So let me ask you. I was going to ask this, but then I didn't want to bring up the age thing. But now, okay, so you got Charlie horse. You're getting off, and you fell on your hip. Do you think 15 years ago that would have been as big of a problem for you? Or?
No, not at all. Yeah. I would even say. Like 3 years ago.
Yeah. See, I was going to say 5, but I didn't want to.
Well, because one of my friends who's 10, he's like 7 years older than me, and he said, "Wait till you get in your 40s, something changes." And now that I'm at 42, coming to 43 this year, I'm definitely noticing these things. It's just like, it's just more hurtful. You know what I'm saying? Like it just hurts a little bit more than usual.
So I get to tell you, okay, wait till you're 60.
So it's like I almost kind of like a little tear comes out from time to time from pain.
Yeah.
When before you could just bounce up and laugh at it. Yeah. Now it's more of like a crying laugh, like.
Yeah. Mommy's not there to rub it out for you.
You're looking around like, oh man, I don't want to look like. Crying here, but it's just the wind.
I used to, when I was in my 40s, I don't remember ever having anything that made me think about my age being older in my 40s. But I tell you, when I hit 50s is when it started. Yeah. I think, and especially at 60, or I'm older than 60, but in my 60s, I think twice if I'm going to lay down on the floor anymore. Because laying down on the floor is very cool. Getting up anymore?
I know. I was just going to say.
I just gotta. I don't just bounce up. Now I got to roll over onto my stomach and push myself up on my knees, and hopefully the coffee table's right there.
You got to start putting those little handles around them.
Yeah. I'll call out for Jill.
That's funny.
Come get me.
So that's the thing that I've been noticing is that things are hurt a little bit more and longer. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
and you're still doing a lot of things. I've known you for quite a while.
Yeah.
You still you're still working out, and you're
trying.
And you're surfing regularly, and you're doing all the right things. You're staying active, you're staying fit. So it's just definitely one of those.
But another thing too is the laziness tends to win sometimes. Yeah. And you kind of give in. I feel like I give in sometimes now that I'm getting a little bit older.
Yeah.
Because it just feels good.
Yeah.
Just
we
like,
earned it.
I don't want to.
Well, there's all kinds of.
I don't want to do nothing today.
Well, there's all kinds of ways of justifying it now. At least for me, I go, oh man, I really worked hard this week. I earned it right. Oh, it's my age. I use age a lot now, and it makes Jill upset. She goes, "You're not that old. Well, how old do I gotta be before I can be old?"
I know that's true. That's true.
Yeah, but it's like I'm constantly battling it, because really and truly I don't want to give into it.
Yeah.
You don't want to, because I think that's doomsday at that point. You know, when you finally give in and you start, you know, you hear so many other people talking about, oh, I'm old, or I can't do this anymore, I can't do that. I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to say I can't.
I'm hearing kids in their 20s say that.
Yeah.
And I was like, you got a long ways to go, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a long road.
Take that pain to the face, you know?
Yeah. So how was surfing?
Surfing was very fun yesterday, especially now that I got a new board.
Yeah. What'd you get?
I got it from the IPA family.
Oh.
From Duke, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Rest in peace to Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
To the IPA family. But yeah, it's funny because it's very bright. So, you know, you stand out amongst the rest. You know? But, you know, I tend to be like that from time to time. I like to peacock, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As they would say, like just let it be known.
Well,
so it really put me to the test because everybody's like, oh, wow, bright board, you know, because it's a yellow, but I love it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this board is amazing. I mean, I don't know if it's been snowboarding has helped, but I'm pretty sure it has, just because of the style of snowboarding. You're overexerting your turns. Yeah. And when you put that in the water on the surfboard, it's like even more intense. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's this board has made me a little bit more aggressive, which is what I like. Yeah. But again, you know, that pain in my left thigh is still lingering. Yeah. So so it cramped up after my third or fourth wave.
Well, you know, the cool thing about having really a bright board, especially in IPA, you know, is because your relationship with your uncle, you know, and so it's kind of like, you know. Yeah. Ben, you know, it's right there with you in a sense.
Yeah, you know, and I was thinking that the other day too when I was you know, putting it together. I was just like, you know, I'm very blessed to know that family, you know, and so I feel like I want to rep it out there and just let everybody know, you know, what a great family this is, the IPA family. So coming out with that board, you know, and being so, it's like that kind of yellow on your helmet right there behind you. It's very bright. And then like a green like this. It's like a two-tone, but it's pretty cool. So I'm pretty excited on it. So, and you know what? The waves definitely do help make the session always better. Right. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter what level you are. Good waves will always make that person, aside from looking better, but feel more amazing. Yeah. Like you just felt like you just destroyed it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, it's really hard, you know, to surf well in bad waves. Now, the other side of that too, what I've always heard professionals say is that surfing in bad waves is what makes you better.
I believe that.
Yeah, but you never look good in bad waves.
To the untrained eye, to the non-surfer, the beach dwellers, they'll probably be like, oh, it looks kind of crazy looking, but actually trying to make something out of a shitty wave. Yeah. They don't even realize how, like, what a great feeling it is to actually get 3 or 4 pumps out of it. Yeah. Considering how shitty it is.
Well, you worked for it.
Right. You know what I mean?
You earned whatever you get out of a bad wave, you've earned.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, you got to really look for it. You got to find it. You got to take the moment. You got to be quick. You know, where good waves give you time, give you some.
Oh yeah, big time. That's why I hear when people go like, "Oh yeah, you know, it's small out there and blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Look, if you can't even catch those small waves, you know, like I don't need a perfect day for me to feel fulfilled." For me to feel fulfilled, it sounded different. Yeah. For me to feel satisfied. Yeah. On my session, you know what I'm saying? Right. So, you know, if I can make a small wave turn into something really fun, that's even more of an accomplishment.
It's actually for me, and I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, and he's close to my age. He's, I think, Mike is 65 now, but you know, he surfs regularly. Another one of the, you know, Bolsa Chica guys, and we both agreed that our surfing has totally changed as we've gotten older. Yeah. And you know, for me and for him, 2 foot to 4 foot, 5 foot, right, is about max. You know. Yeah. Head high, Perfect. We no longer want to battle getting
Oh, I
out in the
know. I
lineup
know
and
what you
fight
mean.
for it.
I know.
And it's, so smaller waves, just fun time. And if I literally this time of the year, I'll go to the beach, got my board, got the wetsuits, got my booties, got everything. And dude, if it's too cold, I mean, it takes an act of God for me to get my wetsuit on and get out there and go surfing. Well, I don't know. I don't know that that's really an age thing or if it's been surfing since I was 14 years old thing.
I think that's more of that.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I've noticed that as the years, since I'm like 13 years in surfing, and I'm starting to see myself becoming more selective weather-wise.
Yeah.
If it's gloomy, I'm just kind of like, you
Yeah.
know, they better be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But on a nice sunny day, no, barely any wind.
Yeah.
I'll go on a crappy day, on a small little day, just because of the,
It's so much easier.
yeah.
It's so much easier when it's sunny and it's a little bit warm out, especially during the summertime, and you can
Oh yeah,
actually go
it's
out
the
in
best.
some trunks and, I mean, there's nothing
I
better.
know, I'm so
But,
ready for it.
yeah, I know. Winter gives us the waves, but the sacrifice is it's cold. Summertime, the
That's
waves are a
true.
little bit more sparse, but you got the nice weather.
Well, I did get a new wetsuit, so I mean, the water doesn't even get in. I actually
Yeah,
had to put water in
yeah,
because I actually feel myself sweating, even though I'm in the water.
yeah,
Like you can feel it. At least maybe I do. I don't know
yeah,
if anybody else does, but I do.
yeah,
Like I can feel it coming out of my pore.
yeah.
Even tasting it tastes different. I know it sounds crazy,
Yeah.
but I've had to be like,
No, no, no.
I think that's sweat.
Nothing Todd says sounds crazy.
I'm like, I think that's sweat. That's not ocean water.
Yeah.
Don't burn it up here.
So I'm a little bit surprised. So you're only 13 years into surfing?
Yeah,
You started.
skateboarding. It was my first thing that I've done.
Yeah.
I've been skating since I was 10 years old,
Hmm.
and then it took as time goes on, little things that happen as you're growing up. Got a car,
Yeah.
girls. For me like breakdancing and the whole hip hop scene. I kind of veered away from skating for a little bit, but then around my like early 20s, got back into it. Got
Hmm.
so deep into it that I actually opened up a skate shop with a barber shop in it
Hmm.
with two of my best friends, and that was my whole 20s
Uh-huh.
was doing that.
Yeah.
And I still skate to this day. I mean, I'm not techie as some of these kids are, or some of the guys are even my age that are really into it. But I developed more of like a kind of like a lazy style skating per se.
Hmm.
So it's just like I'm gonna do just enough to where people are like,
Yeah.
"Oh man, that guy still rips."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I have nothing to prove no
Yeah,
more.
yeah, no, exactly
You know what
right.
I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Well, see,
like,
that's the advantage too of my age because I'm on a long. When I skate, I'll get on my longboard,
mhm.
and so it's long, drawn out kinds of things, and I don't have to prove anything because everybody's looking at me and they're not saying he's ripping or the dude's on a skateboard.
Yeah,
You know, what I
yeah.
mean, look at the old guy; he's skating.
Because it does
You
take a
know,
lot of
so I mean,
coordination. I mean,
yeah,
to get that going.
yeah. I
So,
find I get my legs get tired
oh yeah,
on it.
big time,
Yeah, so
big time. Unless you're doing that every single day, you're gonna get,
yeah,
I get these like fiery feet feeling in the
yeah.
beginning, but it's like once you break that second wind, it just goes away, and then I'm just nonstop after
You're
that.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, go back to you said in your 20s you're in a partnership with your barbershop and with a skate thing.
Yeah.
How's your new venture going?
You know what?
Is that looking like it's going to happen?
Yeah. So I'm doing the reverse angle of it. I'm doing a barbershop with a skate or board shop inside,
Mm-hmm.
compared to the other one was a skate shop with the barbershop inside.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah.
doing it the other way. So the main focus will be barbering, but I will have all my little things that I love to do, which is skateboarding, surfing, and and this will be an opportunity for me to get um like the three shapers that I have being able to get their name out
Right.
so people know who they are. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah. Who do you have?
I got these two brothers, totally different styles too.
Mm-hmm.
One does pretty much every board that you can think of, and the other one he does all retro style, thick, single fin madness boards. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Fishy,
Yeah.
fishy style, fishy skatey, single fin boards, and then the other brother, the older one, he's more an eclectic of different styles. He has his own setups too. You know, because I mean, this family is just amazing. You know, like
Yeah.
their dad's a OG shaper, and
Mm-hmm.
both the boys took upon it to keep the family name going,
Really?
which is Casper, the Casper family, and they're local
Casper?
out here, yeah. And
Oh.
and then obviously I've been I was telling Duke Ipa about it too, so I would love to have him be a part of that whole thing, getting
That'd be
his board
awesome.
and his name out here in Long Beach,
Yeah.
because a lot of people don't realize that Long Beach actually has a lot of old school surfing
Yeah.
um, um, community. I mean, I live right there, on Studebaker, which is the main road that takes you that way towards going south.
Right.
So all day I see is board racks, board racks, board racks, surfboards,
Yeah.
coming and going. So that's how I was explaining it to them. It was just like, you know, from Golden West down, going from Golden West north, coming back to Long Beach. That's all Long Beach people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Majority of the people are there are from Long Beach. Once you go past Golden West, then you're on Huntington Beach. Then that's their world.
Right. Right.
But yeah, it's a big community out here. Even though we don't have surfing here, which they did back in the days. That's a whole nother story.
Which I'm sure before the end of the night we'll probably have talked about that too.
Yeah,
But no, you're absolutely right. I mean, I started surfing at 13 years old, 13, 14 years old. And I grew up in North Long Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a big group of us from North Long Beach that would trek to HB.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just the way it was.
Of it.
Yeah. And it's all I've ever known. I mean, I've lived in Huntington, but majority of my time has always been Long Beach, and born and raised here, and it has a huge
That's
surfing
so cool,
community.
You've seen the changes and transitions and with the culture of surfing in Long Beach.
My first board that I bought was a 9.6 Chuck Dent, and it was used. And I paid, I think I paid $110 for it, and from the shop, from Chuck Dent shop. And I swear to God, I had that board less than 6 months, and the shortboard era started.
Oh yeah.
And it was.
That's right. You got to see it in that cultured way too.
Yeah.
As far as like the whole surfing world, that's a trip.
Yeah. But also too, I was surfing as a kid in an era where kids today would never do what we did.
Right.
And that was, you get to the beach, a parent or somebody drops you off 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning, and you go home at 4:30. So you're there all day. You're not there for a couple hours. You're there all day. And you're in and out of the water all day. And if you were lucky, if you were one of the lucky ones during the winter time, you had a
wetsuit,
a skin diver wetsuit.
Yeah.
It was just a jacket with a beaver tail that would zip up, and that's if you were lucky. I wasn't ever that lucky, so I was in the water during the winter.
Oh, that's so trippy.
With shorts.
Because I mean, I act like a baby when I get in these cold
Oh,
waters.
yeah.
And I can only imagine.
Yeah,
then,
but we didn't know any different.
Right.
We didn't know any different. And then we'd get there, and that was when you could build a little bonfire on the beach. So you kept warm. And there was a coffee shop, which is no longer there. I'm trying to think what has taken its place, but it was, I think, torn down. But it was right there, just north of where Jack's is right now. And it was a little coffee shop, and we'd go in there. And because we're freezing our ass off, we'd go in there and order hash browns. And you can get a plate of hash browns for 25 cents.
Oh, wow.
And the plate of hash browns would last us about an hour because we didn't want to leave. It was the only place we could get that was really warm.
String by string.
Yeah. But that was really a cool. It was a really a cool period of time. I mean,
yeah, because it was really
that was when you'd walk down Main Street and you'd see Corky Carroll walking. You'd see
Right.
David Nueva walking around. You would see
That's awesome.
all that kind of stuff. That's I mean, nobody here probably even knows about the Golden Bear. It was a club that played. It was just music. I mean, it was, you would go there and they had all kinds of top names showing up at the Golden
That's so
Bear.
cool.
And even I was too young at that time to go in
Yeah.
and do it. But the surfing area back then in Long Beach, going back to the story, was really strong. There were a lot of people.
I still feel it is still.
I think it's
strong,
even more so now. Yeah.
Because obviously being a barber here in Long Beach, this side of Long Beach, I got to get to know everybody, and it seems like every single person surfs.
Yeah.
That I've met.
Yeah.
And if not, it's like, their dad did, or you know what I mean, like one of their family members did. But it's always surfing is always part of the conversation, and pretty much everybody sits down in my chair.
Yeah.
When I'm cutting their hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
So let's talk about barbering, man. How'd you get into barbering?
Barbering came to me kind of by accident, because growing up, my cousin was the barber in our crew. And this was during the time of, like, we were big into breakdancing and going to the 18 and under clubs, and they did exist then.
Yeah.
There was you have to be 18 or under.
Yeah.
To get in, what I mean? So, and
this is kind of dating you too. Steven's going to probably have to pull up some breakdancing up on the computer and show everybody what it is.
But the thing was, it was about looking fresh all the time. So my cousin, every weekend there was always something to do, whether it was a warehouse party or whether it was going to be at the local college, And at that time, Sacramento State always had like hip hop venues, and then or we would go to Davis, UC Davis, and they were big into the hip hop scene over there. So a lot of there would be a lot of shows. So we're always trying to look fresh.
Yeah.
But my cousin is one of those guys that whenever he gets a girlfriend, he goes MIA.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all had those.
Those
friends. You know what I mean? As soon as they get a girl, you just never see them. So we would always be at his window knocking on it, because his bedroom was on the first floor, and we know he's home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm just like, yo, man, you need to cut our hair.
We gotta look fresh, man.
So finally, I was like, just give me the clippers. Just give me the clippers, and I'll do it. So I practiced on myself, my dad, my brother, and then like 3 of my best friends, and then it just got to the point where like I kind of mastered it. So we took a trip to LA, and that's when I found out how to fade through a friend of ours.
Okay.
Because he was showing how to blend, and when I came back to Sacramento, I just started doing that on my friends and practice on them. So, and I would do it on myself. So when I go to school, everybody's like, "Who cut your hair?" And I'm like, "I do," because back then, a lot of barbershops that you go to, they're not like how it is today. There was like one probably in a 10-mile radius.
Right.
And there's always an older gentleman. Well, it seems like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't barbershop is not as, it wasn't as abundant as it is today. There's a shop everywhere nowadays, because now it's like the cool thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got into it when it wasn't the cool thing. It was just something like, everybody kind of got the same haircut, because, Barber Bill been cutting everybody's hair for 40 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get what he gives you.
Specialize in flat tops.
And flat tops, and buzz heads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But moving to Sacramento, where I'm from, where I came from LA, I had a little bit of the LA swag in me, I guess you could say. So we had when we would do the side short, we were fading it in. I was blending it in. So people were like, "Where did you get this done? Did you go to like downtown?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To like go to like maybe a black barbershop or something like that. And I'm like, "No, I did it myself." So that's when it became a thing where everybody was like, "Oh, can you cut my hair?" And then it just went on and on, like all through high school. So we had minimum Wednesday because we were the first high school that did block scheduling in Northern California. So Wednesdays was our elective days. So we were off by 12 o'clock. And then so it's Wednesdays and Fridays was the day that I did haircuts. So my garage, I turned into a barbershop. My mom was so cool, and she would make us food and stuff, and I just have like 10, 15 guys in my garage in and out getting haircuts. And that's how I became friends with pretty much every different group in high school, as far as like, because they are, I want you to cut my hair. And as time went on, I did what everybody else did, go to college and, try to do something with yourself,
Try to be somebody.
Yeah, and which, I was going to school for computer science and stuff like that, because at that time, networking and computers was just booming. So everybody was like, I'm gonna get in. This is the future. You gotta learn how to use a computer,
Yeah.
And so I got caught into that. Well, a year into it, I realized this wasn't the world that I want to live. I didn't see myself in the future being like, working on a desk and you know what I mean, behind a screen all the time.
Yeah.
And so I dropped out, and I ended up having my girl pregnant. So I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta do something. I need to do something with my life, I'm about to have a kid. So I tried to join the Navy, and at that time the Navy wouldn't allow me to go in because of something that was going on in my life at that time. That's a whole nother story. So he was like, you're gonna have to wait a little bit. So I was just like, dang man, what am I gonna do, So I go to a house party, run into an old friend I haven't seen in like 3 years, and he's like, hey man, do you still cut hair? I'm like, yeah. I was like, man, I used to cut your hair. He's like, I've been looking all over for you. I was gonna go to your parents, because this is pre
cell phones,
media, right?
Yeah,
so if you want to look for somebody, you gotta start from the start.
Yeah.
Go to the parents' house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
or
was
the
like,
yellow pages.
Yeah. So I was like, why? What's up? And he's all, I'm a barber now. And I'm like, what? You cut hair? What do you mean you're a barber? And he's like, yeah, dude, I'm working at a barbershop. He's like, I'm thinking about branching out to become and get my own barbershop. He's like, you should join a barber college and then come work with me, and we'll do it in the town that we grew up in. Take over the barbering world. And that sounded great to me. So I applied at the barber college, and it just went from there, and I never looked back. And then the deeper I got into it, the more networking, the relationship, growing with people, that became more and more intriguing to me. And and that's like, it's just like how I met you. Like
Right.
you start to see somebody such on a regular basis, you become a family member.
Right.
And that intrigued me even more in the business, especially after 5 years getting into it. I was just like, I feel like everybody's of my family, because I'm doing their dad, the grandpa, and the son, and the grandsons.
Yeah.
And you know everything about them, because
That's
what's
it.
the first thing that happens as soon as they sit on a chair?
Yeah.
How's your day going? And they just
Open up, man.
Boom!
It's just gone.
whether you want to know or not,
I know
you're gonna get it.
That's what Jill says to me when she tells people about me going to the barbershop, going to Todd, getting my haircut everybody gives me crap about it every 2 weeks. You don't even look like you need a haircut. And Jill will always say, he doesn't go just for the haircut. It's a social time for him. And it really is.
Yeah.
I enjoy that time just sitting down, talking, relaxing. It's just a great time. And it's today's world of haircuts and haircutting is barbers have come such a long ways.
Oh yeah.
Where like you said, the old school guy that would give you a trim a little off the top, or give you a buzz cut or flat top or whatever that it was, but that was the extent of what he did.
Yeah.
Now today, I mean, it's a good barber knows more about cutting hair than a stylist would, and everybody for the longest time was just going to stylists to get their hair cut.
Yeah.
And yet, you find the right barber, and you're golden at that
And yeah,
point.
and it's the relationship that's built too. That's I think that's what keeps my work more ongoing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because as humans, we need that interaction towards
Yeah.
each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if it's just for 5-10 minutes, the feeling you get when you're done
Yeah.
is amazing.
It
You know
seems
what I mean?
it seems to me, in knowing you now, as long as I have, and getting my hair cut, you've probably given me, 2,000 haircuts or something.
Yeah.
But it's you never lose your enthusiasm for what you do. I never, in all the times I've been in and out, I've never caught you in a down moment. I've never caught you, in a bad mood. It seems like you just are capable of just every day is a good day.
Well, so that's funny you said that, because I was thinking about that the other day. A lot of it stems from what I get from people that come in, and when they're having a bad day, and I listen to their story or whatever is happening, you know what I mean? Then I reflect towards myself, and I'm just like, yo, man, the thing that I was stressing on just a minute ago is nothing compared to what this person just shared to me in 15-20 minutes that he just sat while I was cutting his hair. And that right there, to me, just made my little problem seem so minute.
Yeah.
And now I want to make this guy more cheerful. So, you know what I mean? So my mindset's already just like, forget about mine. Let me help this guy smile on his way out. You know what I mean? And then I think that's just where that being on that mindset, nothing really troubles me, because all I want to do is try to find some type of sunshine to the gloomy days.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I always say it to myself, you'll never catch me frowning on a sunny day, or even on a gloomy day. I will smile no matter what.
Right.
And just having that type of mindset, and even like that type of motto that I would tell myself, that keeps me going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because once you're done through it, you're actually more excited that you even got through it when you're down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you battled it.
Yeah. Yeah, you came through.
And then getting through it, you're even more excited than not having to deal with that at all. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the things I've watched with you now over the years is your clientele. So that explains one portion of it. The other part is, you're an amazing barber to begin with.
I'm blessed.
Yeah. We're blessed that you are.
I should know how to do it. I've been doing it since I was 13 years old.
Yeah. You finally learned. You finally got it down. Yeah. No, but it amazes me, the clientele, the loyal Todd followers that will follow you. It's to the point to where I remember coming in when you were at the shop before you were taking appointments, and I personally have sat there for 2 hours.
Yeah, I know. I remember
waiting.
And I would feel bad too. I'm just because everybody, it's like,
you got
to stand. The guy before you was already here. 2 hours.
Yeah.
And the guy,
yeah.
I think a lot of it is just because of I let everybody open up, and it's hard I think it would be hard for anybody to have to go back to a new barber, and then it's like, you got to feel this guy out again. And, is he, can I trust him to talk about what I used to talk about with Todd, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, I think that has a lot to do with it too, because, like I said, human interaction is, we all need a little bit of somewhat time to vent, or validate, or just a feel of something that you want somebody to understand.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because where else can you do that? You can't do that to your banker person.
No.
Because they're like, yo, you already got your money. Get out.
Yeah.
You can't do it to your grocer guy. Because if he stands there standing with you for longer than 5 minutes, he's getting yelled at in the back of the the produce department.
I know.
They're like, "Yo, man,
keep it going.
keep it going, man."
I know.
Like, where else can you get that? I mean,
you got to keep your mic in front of you.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
I feel like it's blocking you. That's why.
No. Go ahead and block because you come over here and get it on the side. Yeah. So,
but yeah, I mean, think of any profession out there.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, like, let's literally think about it. What profession or job out there can you sit there and chat with somebody for over 20 minutes, regularly throughout your days and months and weeks or however,
Yeah.
like you can't.
Yeah. My daughter's got a job like that though. She's a dog barber.
If only if animals could talk, imagine the stories that they would tell.
She has the greatest conversations. No, but she loves, and it's kind of tongue in cheek say that about her only because she's standing there, but the reality is that it's the same thing. She freaking loves animals. And for her to be there, she loves what she does. And that's how I feel with you whenever I'm there. You love what you do. You have never lost that joy of being a barber. Yeah.
It's the people.
Yeah.
It's the people that keeps me going. I was actually talking, so when I was thinking about getting this shop, right? I was calling a friend of mine who owns a shop. And I was telling him my ideas and everything, and he was kind of like shooting me down a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I was like, in a sense of like, you're doing too much, you got to think of the business. And I was like, no, you're not understanding my vision on this. I was like, you got to understand, it's like, I want to leave a mark. Mm-hmm. I want to leave a mark in people's lives, in a sense of like, they're going to remember this place. And it's not because it's just a place to get your hair cut. You know what I mean? It's a community, it's a community place where you can, actually like I said, like a lot of people open up and and you become a family. I'm not just the neighborhood guy. You know what I mean? Like I'm. It's just like, yo, it makes me feel good when my clients bring in their kids and they say, hey, this is your Uncle Todd.
Right.
And they're like, hey, Uncle Todd, you going to cut my hair today? You know what I mean? That's a great feeling to me. Yeah. And I was trying to explain that to him. I was like, I'm growing with these people. I'm not looking at this as a business. I just need this business to keep me here.
Right.
You know what I mean? To keep me going.
Well, you're doing it for the right reasons, and that's what I see. Yeah. You're doing it for the love of what you do. It isn't as though you've taken a hobby and tried to make it into a business.
Right.
You've got a business that just happens to be your hobby at the same time.
Well, that's because I did it for fun.
Yeah, and so now you're taking that to another level, and it's like what you said was really actually important from a business perspective. When you said before, when you were in your 20s, you had a skate shop with a barber shop. Here you're saying, I've got a barber shop with a skate shop attached to it. So you got your primary thing, the thing that you're really good at, the thing that is your primary source of income, the thing that you love to do, and then inside that you're going to add some of these little
my hobbies that I love to do.
Yeah.
Because those things even has a big form of networking as well.
Yeah.
Because I can create clients. They become clients and then they become friends to enjoy the hobbies with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I'm wrapping everything. It's like I'm zeroing in my gravity pull.
Right.
You know what I mean? Instead of having them all dangling around, I want to pull them all in, so we are all in this together.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly know what you mean.
So it's it's definitely passionate, because, and that's why I was trying to explain to my friend. I was like, man, you're not getting what I'm trying to tell you, because he's like, no, you get business, you got this. I'm like, See, I'm not. It's not even about the money. The money will always be made.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's like, how do through the process, to the from the beginning to end, how do I want that money to be made? Is through networking with people, becoming family and friends closer.
Right.
So that's what I thrive on the most, and keeping cultures alive and keeping stories alive, because you know what I mean. Like, I get to share stories of people that I know personally, or that's part of a part of the community that people don't know, and I give them. I'm able to give them a light to remind people, just like, hey, this city has these amazing people in it, and
Right.
you're gonna know about them through me.
Well, that's really a true statement when you think about the city that we live in. When you think about Long Beach,
Yeah.
Long Beach has got a huge history.
Oh yeah.
History, not just in the surf and the skate, and but I mean it has a huge history in a lot of different
Music as well,
avenues.
yeah.
Music, I mean there's a lot of musicians that came out of the Long Beach area. There's pro athletes that came out of the
Yeah.
Long Beach area. There's great businesses that have been developed in the Long Beach area. Long Beach has a rich history
Yeah.
dating
I
back
believe it.
a lot of years, and you're in a position to where you are going to hear stories from
Yeah.
people. I'm
That's what I've been getting.
yeah. I mean,
And
because
it's awesome.
yeah, in Long Beach is a generational city. My mom went to St. Anthony's in Long Beach. Was in Long Beach. Growing up, I grew up in Long Beach. My kids grew up in Long Beach. So I mean, there's 3 generations
Mm-hmm.
of family in the Long Beach area. That touches people like you, and those are like what you're saying. I firmly believe that, and almost what I'm hearing, what it makes me think about with
Yeah.
you is, how in the American Indian culture they have. I think you and I had this
Yeah,
conversation
yeah.
about storytellers.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
You're basically a storyteller.
Yeah.
Because you are being touched by so many people and hearing bits and pieces of their stories, that you pass that on and you keep it alive.
Yes.
And
that's what I thrive on.
yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what makes it more amazing to the whole spectrum of it all, as being a barber. Because to me, it's just not about the money. It's about creating that stature in this
Yeah.
society. You know what I mean? Of
Yeah.
like, where are you gonna leave your stain at?
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk to me a little bit about the whole last year of COVID and how that affected you, and what did you see with people coming in and seeing you or talking to you, as going through. How did this affect everybody?
I feel we all went through the same waves.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is this too. Here's another thing. It's the difference between, I think a lot of it is affected by, every story is going to be different based off where you live at.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the people from the inner city are reacting to this way different compared to us on this side of town. And I'm not just here in Long Beach, but in all, because it's even in Sacramento. I mean, the people that lived in the inner city and compared to the people who live in the pocket areas,
Right.
I consider this like, this is the pocket area of this side of the east side of Long Beach. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And this is more, more of the working class people, more who have families, and you know what I mean, compared to the inner city where it's a lot more, it's just hustle and bustle. So their outlook on it is way different. But I see it on both spectrums because I kind of dabble in both worlds.
Right.
So for me personally, hearing it from people, I'm hearing it from both sides of the story, and it's so different. It's so different from each other. You know what I mean? So it made it a little bit more easier for me to understand what's going on per se with this whole thing.
Right.
I mean, yes, is it real? Sure. The effects from it, wishy-washy, because the stories are always changing. So for me, with running this business as a barber, I get people who are like, hey, can you please wear a mask? And then I got people like, hey, you don't have to wear that. You know what I mean? And then so it's kind of like I have to play a role of not offending anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And regardless of how I feel on things, I'm not going to push any narrative. So I just roll with it and just listen. And that's where I started seeing the difference of how the communities are, whether you're from the inner city or from on the outer skirts of the inner city. And when I mean inner city, I'm talking like downtown on out.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it's such a different lifestyle.
Oh.
You know, you're not going to get the people from the inner city and the people that lives on the pocket areas outside the city on the same mindset of things. You know what I mean? Especially with this whole COVID thing.
Well, also too,
you know what I mean?
That just kind of strikes a big point of Long Beach. We're very diversified.
Right.
I mean, there definitely is an inner city of Long Beach.
Yeah.
And then there is, the more affluent part of Long Beach. And then you come out here and it's the working class part of Long Beach. Not that everybody else isn't working and working class, but this area out in here is it's a little bit more open, more widespread.
Yeah, so that's the difference that I noticed. So like I said, getting all those types of walks coming in, dealing with this whole COVID thing, I had to be very careful. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to lose anybody based off, because it was a scary thing. You know what I mean? Because when it first came, nobody, we thought it was the end of the world.
Right.
You know what I mean? But as soon as data came around and this, then you do your own homework, you see the difference on it. So when they were coming in, I had to be careful. I had to let them open up into that conversation. Mm-hmm. I can't start it because I don't know where they sit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the last thing I want is them to jump out in the middle of a haircut and be like, you know what I mean? Forget you, man. You know what I mean?
You're not careful enough.
Right. So that's how it was for me.
Right.
And as a barber already, I'm a germaphobe as an individual. I don't touch door handles and rails and stuff like that. I've always been that way. I mean, I'll sit in the bathroom, if it's one of those door handles where I have to pull to get out and they have no napkins, I'll sit there till somebody comes and opens the door.
Will you really?
I've sat there for like 30 minutes before.
No way.
As soon as the door opens, I'm like, thank you.
You're kidding me.
I won't touch it.
Really?
I just won't touch it.
Really?
And
so you'll cut hair.
That's the thing.
See, I would never cut hair. I would never do that. There's something about touching somebody's head that I don't want to do.
I know that sounds crazy, but yeah. So I'm already a germaphobe as it is. So, I mean, obviously, as barbers, 80% of our testing, that we studied was always about germs and different diseases and topical diseases, like staph infection and ringworms and lice and stuff like that. Yeah. That to me is more scary than a virus.
That's why I don't want to touch anybody. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? To me personally, I fear that more than I do a cold. Yeah. Regardless whatever type of cold it is. You know what I'm saying? So I'm already like, everything's clean.
That's a real world
you know
issue
what I mean?
For you.
Yeah. I mean, so that's how I dealt with this whole thing. So for me, you know what I mean? Like I said, I don't think it was more of the COVID itself that was an issue. Mm-hmm. It was more of how people were dealing with the COVID. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's why I brought up the whole people, how they are acting with the inner city compared to the people who are acting on the outer city, part of the inner city. It's totally different. I mean, you go to Sacramento. I mean, you go to my town where I'm from. Dude, it's like nothing happened. You know what I mean? But the moment I go into downtown, I get in my car and I forget to have a mask on. They're like, "Hey, get up and I'm like, "Whoa, what's going on?" Because I forget because we're in my town. It's like normal. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But you made me think of something here. I'm gonna sidetrack for a second. Yeah, I walked into Pavilions the other day. Just oblivious. Forgot to put my mask on.
Yeah, remember we were talking about, yeah.
Forgot to put my freaking mask on. So I'm walking around, and there's this girl with her mom staring at me, and she's pulling her mom away, and they're staring at me, and I'm going, do I know them? Did I do something?
Not even thinking
about it, And it was a few minutes later that I realized I didn't have my mask on. So I deliberately went over and like pushed my cart in front of where I was at, and there was somebody working there. And go, hey, dude, can you keep an eye on this? I forgot my mask. I had to go put it on.
Yeah.
And I deliberately said it loud enough so that they would hear it, so that I didn't think I was some kind of an ass.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Going in there and deliberately not wearing a mask, and then it was funny because then I'm checking out, and they were right behind me coming out, and Mom was just like a sweetheart to me on the way out because I had my mask on. But
well, that's pretty much what I'm trying to get at. Is like I think it wasn't even about COVID anymore. It was more of people dealing with COVID. Yeah. And that's what I think. That's what's happening more. That's what's more. How am I trying to say this? I think the issues are more into that compared to the actual COVID itself. You feel what I'm saying? Like that, the way people are dealing with it is
people's perceptions on COVID and in their actions on how they were dealing with. Because
whenever they get into it, nobody talks facts, figures, and science. No. They're just saying, you're not wearing one, or why are you wearing one? And screw you, you don't care about people. And then they're both saying it to each other. Yeah. You're killing yourself. And, you know what I mean? It's just like.
It just went back. It went back and forth.
Let's bring the facts out. Let's put that, boom, and then make a decision from there. But, it doesn't even matter anymore. That's where we're at. And I think, to me, as dealing with it as a barber, that's what I faced with was the dealings of the people's outlook on it, not the COVID itself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It was odd too. You talk about the inner city and you talk about, the outer part of it, but also too, you for us, if you crossed county lines, I mean, you go into Orange County, there were times when you go to Huntington Beach and you wouldn't see anyone wearing a mask. Right. And you can come down to Long Beach, go down to 2nd Street, and everybody's got a mask.
Right. And like I said,
it's just depending on where you were at and what,
And I think that to me, that was more an issue to me compared to the actual virus itself. Yeah. That's just
how did it affect your business?
Obviously, like it's not, it sucked that, our governor shut everything down without giving us actual, like understanding about everything. So it actually boosted my business even more. But I think more of it is because people trust me. Right. And so they recommended me more to their family and friends and to their neighbors. You know what I mean? And then with that being said, it's like, obviously the fear of it is still there. So they're like afraid to go into these businesses because you're sitting next to a stranger. Right. You know what I mean? Or you have to sit in somebody's chair that you don't know who they are. Right. But with me, it's just like, go to Todd because he's been cutting my family's hair for over 10 years. You know what I mean? I vouch for him. Yeah. I'm being vouched for. Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of community and the love and respect that I have with them and that they have with me, that they were able to do that. So my business did pick up a little bit more than usual. You know what I mean? So that was a blessing in disguise for sure. And it just got even more and more because once they met me and they were like, oh my God, like you're nothing like my old barber. Right. Like they're like, I've been going to my barber. I don't even know anything about him. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's funny you say that because I went to a barber for quite a while, and I won't mention his name because he's a local guy, but but he did a great job. He really did. Really, I mean, he took his time. It was one of those really technical, take his time. I mean, he.
Couldn't think of the word.
He was OCD. Yeah. He definitely was. I got up from the chair once and he goes, oh, wait a minute, come back here. There's something. I had to go sit back down and he for, like maybe 30 seconds. Okay, yeah, that looks better. I missed something. Yeah, I mean, he was that kind of a guy.
Meticulous.
There we go. Absolutely, yeah. But what happened was that I would go. And one, he wasn't taking appointments, so you had to sit and you'd wait for one or two guys. He was a one chair shop, and so you would wait, and then he would take so much time. I literally would sit there for 45 minutes to an hour and not have conversation. It was all haircut.
That's so weird
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
I don't. I see that all the time, even with, you know, some barbers that I've worked with in the past. Just like, how could you sit there and not say anything and like have a conversation?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
but it does take a. You gotta have it. You gotta have a personality for sure.
Yeah, but that was the one reason why I stopped going. It wasn't the haircut. Yeah. Haircuts were perfect every single time. You can go there, get the same haircut every single time.
Right.
I mean, it was perfect. But it was just like, man, you sit there for that period of time and not have some conversation. I didn't know anything about this guy.
Yeah.
I know your whole
I know. and you know,
I know your beliefs on aliens and your movie choices. And I think the funniest story you ever told me was that you were walking in a parking structure or something. And parking structures freak you out because of some of the horror movies that you have seen. You always you find yourself walking past
because you hear everything. You hear a drop of water in a parking structure.
Yeah. Especially if it's late and you're by yourself. Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's and there's only one way out. You know what I mean? It's like through the exit and the entrance.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If that's blocked off, then now you're just jumping off the third, fourth floor.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh my God. Yeah. I want to talk about your son.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned earlier on your girlfriend got pregnant. You guys never got married.
No, never got married.
And yet, one of the things is one of the stories that if I tell an ever ongoing story about Todd, it's this story. Young man, girlfriend gets pregnant, never got married, yet the guy committed to being a dad. The whole
as best as I could. It was what was through the process of the time. You know what I mean? I always tell people, like one of the hardest things of it's okay. Let me put it this way: it's like the consequences is never talked about. You know what I mean? And it's like if you're not gonna get married. Being a single parent is very hard.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you can't be the parent that you want to be either, because it depends on which side the child resides the most with.
Right.
I was the weekend dad, and that's hard. You know what I mean? One of the hardships of that was because as a weekend dad, I can only say so much because I don't want to upset him or the mom, the family. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it would be different when you're a parent and they're with you every day. You can say whatever you want because know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, where you gonna go?
Yeah. Yeah. You're the dad. You're in place.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But as a single parent and with, I've always looked at it like if my mom and dad were to ever split up, I would go with my mom. Because my dad's a man, he can take care of himself. You know what I'm saying? And, there's a certain attachment a child has with their mother. Obviously, we came out of them. You know what I mean? So there's like a different thing. So when me and her split up, obviously I was like, I want you to live with your mom. I want you to stay with your mom because you're going to get the nurturing that you need from your mom. And I think from the early stages of your life, your mom is your superhero. And then the dad is throughout time, the dad is the guy that, teaches the boy stuff and like, this and that and like how to be a man, you know what I mean? But I had to do that as a weekend dad. So that was very tough, you know what I mean? So I many times I felt my spirit was broken because I felt like I had no power as a dad. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the way that my dad had power over us. Not saying power in a negative way. I mean, what I mean by is like being there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I couldn't do that. So that was very tough for me spiritually and inside. You know what I mean? Because I felt like when I did have them, I was so worried that I just want to do everything I can in those 3 days or those 2 days or that hour or whatever. And it just, it's not enough. I always felt it was never enough. So that was my struggle to the whole thing. But I kept it going. I kept it going as much as I could because that's all I could do.
Well, that's
you know what I mean?
That's the key, though. That's the key. That's the great emphasis of the story is that you never quit.
This is crazy to me because I know
you never gave up.
Right. It's crazy because there are people, we've known through our times that they don't want nothing to do with them, and it's like as the little time that I did have, I wanted to make it the best time ever.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's just like.
Do you ever look at it as how extraordinary it really is what you did, especially in today's world? Today's world where men are seemingly having no problem of just disappearing.
Oh, it's easy.
It's easy. Just going away.
It's easy to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the thing is, on the other side, because I have a sister who divorced, and you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And with my niece living with us all the time, it's easy to forget. It's easy to forget about the dad. If he doesn't want to be there, later we don't need you, because you know what I mean. Most of the time there is a family structure,
right?
But saying it's crazy to me to know that there are some dads that don't want nothing to do with their children.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or not even just call to say hi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's crazy to me because for me, even the littlest time that I have, I wanted to make it the best as I can. You know what I mean? And give as much as I could at a time. And then, time goes on. And now he's living with me, and it's amazing because.
Well, and that's what I love to see. And that's one of the things where my podcast and some of the things that I've put out on the air about dads, dads need to make the time to spend time. They have to make that time.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not just a ready built period that you just automatically have and go do.
Right.
You have to make the time. You have to carve it out, and then you have to put the kid first. Children have to come first. Your wants, your desires, your whatever come secondary. And that's what makes a good dad.
But here's another thing too, though, that a lot of people don't realize as well. And nobody ever says it. Mm-hmm. I think I might be the first one who's going to say it.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people don't realize, and especially the kids need to hear this, that the dads need the kids too.
Yeah.
We can always push ourselves onto them.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that, hey, we're not just pushing. I need you.
Right.
I need you for me to be a dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a fulfillment, of. It's a two-way street, definitely.
And I think that some of them don't. A lot of people don't realize that. They always just say, you need to be a dad. You need to be a dad. It's like, well, you need to be a child too that wants a dad.
Yeah, exactly. But what I also tell dads though is that the reward for being a dad, isn't going to come until years down the road.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The rewards that you are going to see for your efforts
Big
and
time.
your energies, and for your selflessness, for whatever it is that you sacrificed and gave to your children, is not going to come to fruition, and you're not going to see the rewards till much later on in life.
Right.
All of a sudden, you see them with their own children, and they're being a dad emulating you.
Yeah.
When they are, working and paying their mortgage and are good citizens, and that's when you see that your efforts in being a dad have paid off.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And, that's the key.
I've noticed that too. I mean, even that with my dad, I grew up with my dad with me all the time, but I never became really close to my dad till in my 20s.
Yeah.
And I finally, one day I was cutting his hair and I apologized to him. And he was like, "What are you apologizing for?" And I was like, "Dad, you know what? I'm saying sorry because I didn't realize how much of a pain I was on you."
Yeah.
you know, and you kept your cool, and you still embedded these life lingering thoughts in my head that actually now I'm using it on my own child.
Right.
And I just want to say I'm sorry. And he's like laughed, and he's like, you don't have to say sorry. That's just how life goes. Yeah. And I was like, well, I just want to tell you, Pops, like, you know what I mean? I'm sorry. Yeah. You know what I mean? I didn't realize. I'm now realizing it now. Yeah. And I would have never, you know, he's like.
But that epiphany came to you at the right time. Yeah. Ian, because earlier on, you couldn't see it. You weren't supposed to see it. Well, though. You were a kid growing up and trying to figure life out on your own. Yeah. You were trying to figure out right and wrongs on your own. Mm-hmm. You had what you didn't realize at that period of time when you're in your late teens and early 20s, what you didn't realize was your decision-making process was based on the foundation that Dad gave you. Mm-hmm. You may not have thought you listened. And what I tell most dads is children won't do as you say, they will do as you do. So you watched your dad. You watched the kind of man he was. And not even understanding and knowing it, you absorbed it. Yeah. So then one day, on your own fruition, you recognized and saw that your dad was a good man. Yeah. Because all the way up until that point, you pushed against what you were hearing. Oh yeah, you know, and then all of a sudden, boom! There's Todd, who's an image of his dad. Yeah, you know,
and I'm trying to leave that imprint on my son as well. Yeah. You know, and not be so. You know what I mean? Like, he needs to know who I am. Right. You know what I mean? And whether he resonates from it or not, you know what I'm saying? He'll one day when he gets older, he's gonna be like, oh man, that guy. Yeah, exactly. Like right. I'm seeing myself doing
what is gonna end up happening is he's gonna come over sometime and he's gonna say, Dad, I'm really sorry.
No,
you're gonna say,
you know, he was his mom, his on his mom's side, they're a great family. They raised him really well, and and with us, you know, a part of it too. You know what I mean? So he was a blessing, honestly. Yeah. He absolutely. You know, I say it all the time. I was like, you know, that whole saying is like, he really does have an old soul, and I'm just trying to figure out who that is. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. What that soul, wherever he came from, what did he do in his lifetime for him to fill that body? You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah, it's funny. I was just having that conversation with my daughter today, you know, asking me if I believed in reincarnation. And I said,
I believe in reincarnation, but not in reincarnation of coming back as a bird or an animal, right? But reincarnation as if like
a soul.
Soul. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we do.
Spirit.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what we've agreed upon, because as reincarnation as it is spoken, coming back as another person or coming back as, you know, whatever. I said no. But then she said, well, what about the soul and spirit? Now we're talking about a whole other type of thing. And I do believe in spirit. I do believe in the soul. I do believe, you know, that you can have the soul of somebody that's already been
here. I have a thing that I learned about that. And so
please share.
Well, you know, I grew up with two different religions. I was born and raised a Muslim, and then I converted to Christianity. But converting into Christianity, I was very involved with trying to learn the word, you know what I mean? And there was a thing that I remember asking my youth pastor years ago. No, actually, you know what? I can't say youth pastor. She was an amazing woman. She was like a grandma to all of us. You know what I mean? And we used to go to her house and help her out and stuff like that, because she was kind of, you know, like she was getting older and older, and big part of her life. Anyways, I asked her something, and I said, what if you were a bad person all your life, and right before you died, kind of like what's homeboy did that was crucified next to Jesus. You know what I mean? And right before he died, you know what I mean? He was like, if you're really real, you know what I mean? It's like, even a soul like me, even a dirt bag like me, a killer, a robber, I can still go to heaven. And he's like, if you, accept me in your heart and believe in me and believe in my Father, just that. So I asked her about that. I was like, what if right before they died, they accepted Jesus in their heart? They get to go to heaven? And she explained something to me, which always resonated in my thought frame, my thought process about reincarnation. So not everybody gets to go in the kingdom of heaven, per se. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to deserve to get in there.
Right.
You got to put in work. It's not, you don't just get in like
that. You earn the right.
Right.
Yeah.
But there is an outside heaven. You know what I mean? There's an outside heaven. So you're not inside the gates. You can see inside, but you can't go inside. But you're outside. And what she was telling me, them being outside, they have to reap what they sow. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they're going to get another chance. Because they know the life that they live. Well, here's another. Because now that you believe in God now you believe in Jesus, well, here's another chance for you to go with that notion, with that belief. And let's see. And I think those souls are the ones that come back down to us. And then you get those old souls. And what I mean by being bad, I mean, you don't have to be bad as far as like killing and this and that, but you could have been, cheated on your wife or you like to con everybody. You're not hurting nobody, but you're a con man. You've destroyed lives, but you've never hurt them per se to where you're considered a bad person.
Right.
But you're not a good person. Right. Right.
Yeah.
But now here's an opportunity for you to redo it again. How are you going to be? Now, and I think that's my version of reincarnation. I got from Miss Velma.
Do you in that scenario, when you get the second chance, are you cognitively aware that it's a second chance?
And I think that thought process comes as you grow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As you grow, because you ever get those moments where you're like, man, this is like deja vu.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Or what's the Mandela effect? Where you're like, man, I remember that, but I don't remember it looking like this. Like it's happened before.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say the same thing. So I think that's part of the whole reincarnation part of it. You know what I mean?
From the spirituality.
From the spirit, yeah.
It almost sounds like, because I know that in the Catholic religion, based on Christianity, they believe in a heaven and a purgatory. And it sounds like what you are explaining, this is a heaven outside the gates of heaven.
Yes.
Which would be kind of a purgatory in a sense, because how would you like to be that close and not get it?
Exactly.
That would be
exactly. So you are given another opportunity.
That would be kind of like a little bit of hell on its own. So
yes, because
but you get it. But the whole premise, I believe, if I go back to my catechism classes and remember, but the whole point of purgatory is to repent for sin. So it could be similar to how it was explained to you.
And that's how I remember taking it in. And so when that saying, he's got an old soul, when I talk about my son, you know what I'm saying? Because my son has little inner demons himself. And it's almost like now he's starting to reflect on it and stuff because he's getting older.
Right.
But it's so the way he handles things, the way he's dealing with things, the way he portrays himself, that's why a lot of people say, oh man, you got an old soul. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when I hear that and I think about it, I'm like, I wonder what life that soul had before he got into my son's body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Steve, were we discussing that? Yeah. On that
a Netflix series called Surviving Death. And there's an episode at the very end on reincarnation. And there are some very these people tell tales that are extremely accurate of a past life, and people are trying to figure this stuff out. And it usually happens during when kids are young, and then as they grow older, it starts to fade away as they say their new life takes over. But some of these kids who are 5 and 6 years old who are able to recount specific details of these past lives, it's creepy. How you're.
Can you bring that up?
I'm gonna have to look into that. That's actually pretty.
Yeah,
interesting.
he'll bring something up
because my explanation of this was, this was based off what I learned long time ago from Miss Velma. Her name finally popped in my head. I think she was like, Miss Velma.
Yeah. I can't believe you forgot me.
Yeah, because like I said, she was like a grandma. She was like an auntie to all of us, I could say. But it was just that conversation I had with her, and she explained about that. And I remember I had this vision of like being outside this wall and looking through the gates, but they're hoeing the ground. Mm-hmm. They're gardening, but they can't go in.
Yeah.
But they're working while they're in there. They're eating and they're chilling, And,
they're in the presence of God.
I'm not in hell, but damn, why am I? Well, I'm over here. You know what I mean? And it's like, hey, here's another chance.
But that's like the whole thing about heaven and hell is, really what is hell? To me, hell would be there's the gate. And I'm on the outside,
and there's that notion as far as that going into that as well, because I was talking to a cousin of mine who actually broke that down in that sense. Yeah. And then you hear the thing, we are living in hell.
Yeah. This is
just a short clip on the trailer for this show. I don't know if we have volume here. Let's see.
No, we.
Ron never told. He said, "Mom, I think I used to be somebody else."
Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. This is the biggest claim ever.
I don't believe we know everything.
Their loved one from the other side is there helping them cross over.
These signs and messages, they're always around us.
I would say, send me a cardinal when you get to heaven.
I can't explain it, but I know it was him.
If this is real, people should know. It'd change everything.
I think I'll be asking questions till the day I die. Again.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I really think that's how it is. Without, I think the whole heaven and hell thing is more of kind of like an ABC kind of a thing.
Right.
When breaking it down in this way is more of like an XYZ. You know what I'm saying? We're like way down the alphabet. We're like,
Right.
You know what I mean? We've gone past the elemental P's.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that I think that there's a lot to be said about that, but the hardest part is that it's always a sense of being ethereal. It's there because there isn't anything that you can actually put your fingers and hands on and say, okay, this is the way this is happening. This is why it's happening. So, but then again, too, that's why it's a belief. But it's like what Stephen was saying, when you get young kids recounting certain situations that they could never have known on their own, and yet they're explaining it in detail.
I mean, it can even we can, I can even go even crazier in the thought process of it, because I almost feel like there are some souls who are just there for examples. Mm-hmm. The lost souls, like the crazies, the excessive murderers, you know what I mean? Like those, I think sometimes those souls have to exist in order for us to keep us in check and put us to test with our self emotions and feels and you know what I mean, our own demise of like, hey, there's a second chance, but you know what I'm saying, I'm still I'm still dangling in your face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you gonna do the same thing you did last time?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's where I'm saying, if you knew that you were here as a second chance, mm-hmm. and you went through your life knowing this is my second chance here, are you going to make all the right decisions then?
Right.
But if it's just you got a second chance, but you're going to go through life not knowing or understanding if this is really a second chance, or if this is just your first chance, or not even give it any thought at all, you're bound to slip up and fall and make bad decisions and choices, and things happen.
Yeah.
And, I think, to me, life is all about choices. It's all about making as many good choices as you possibly can. But when you do make a bad choice, own up to the bad choice.
Yeah, well, you gotta
and then repent for the bad choice, and try not to do that same thing over again. That's
to me, I think that's the fun part of living.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And if I can, so years ago, I used to get in a lot of trouble, right? And my dad was like, he's like, man, why do you hang out with these guys, And I go, Dad, did you ever think that maybe I was supposed to be like, maybe that's part of my mission that God gave me, that I hang out with, I'm gonna go through the trenches with these guys, you know what I'm saying? I mean, nobody wants to see their kid get locked up or go to jail and this is stuff like that,
right?
But I did spend my, good share of time, and you know what? The people I met in there, from my very first time I went in to the very last time I went in, I'm still friends with him to this day. And I was just talking to a friend of mine recently, and I was just like, and he was like, what's up, my first celly? I'm glad that we're doing good, this, that. And I was like, look at us from sharing a 4x8 room, to being a family man, and living our best lives. How crazy is that?
Yeah. Well, it just goes to show that young people are going to make bad decisions at times that will affect them for the rest of their lives.
Right.
Okay. Not that there's any lingering negative effect on you for that back in the day when you were really young, but it's still part of your history that you think about and hang on to. And
what I explained to my dad was,
it's a part of who you are.
Right. What I explained to my dad was, I think the way I looked at it was almost like, I could have avoided it, but it almost felt like I needed to go through it. Like I was meant to be there. You know what I mean? Because like I said, some of the people that I met in there are still in my life today. And a lot of them are like, it's because of you, man. Like, you helped me see, I told my dad, I was like, maybe I'm helping them find the light in that dark tunnel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because they were walking the wrong direction. And then here I come and I bump into the right direction. And as long as they know that I'm riding with them through it, even though it may be even the darker hole, I'm going to find that light with him.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he's going to know, hey, this man, he's been by my side through this all. He never left me. You know what I mean? So my dad looked at me and was just like, I didn't expect you to say that, and he was like, he said, like, that's something he learned from me, and I go, Dad, I came up with this conclusion because listening to the stories in the Bible, you know what I'm saying? Some of these great stories went through some, this like crazy, situations that
crazy times.
Like, why did they have to go through that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost kind of like the stories of, like, the righteous man is living a hard life when the wicked man is living the most funnest life.
Yeah.
The wicked man is living, he's having fun and doing all this stuff, but the guy who's trying to live righteous is getting beat down every time.
And we
you know what I mean?
And we see that in today's world.
Right.
We see it in today's world. We see people that are doing extremely well that shouldn't be doing extremely well if everything was based on who did the right thing, on morals and scruples, and making right decisions. Yeah, it's definitely.
But I always end off with that saying, we're all going to be judged at the end, regardless of what you believe in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There is a judgment at the end.
There is a judgment day. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And you want to be on the right side.
Regardless of what entity you believe in, it all has the same premises.
Yeah.
How did you live your life?
Exactly. Did you ever hear the story I love this story. And then we're getting what?
Our lights are going to shut off.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, our lights are going. Yeah.
We're on low battery.
Oh, we got any more batteries?
We're gonna do this. Is just part one.
Yeah, exactly. This
is just part one.
Yeah, we got.
You know what I mean?
We got a lot more time. But anyways, the story goes like this: man lives his whole life, passes away, old age, goes to heaven, standing in line at the gate, and there's God standing up there, and he goes, man, there's the man himself. And as he gets closer and closer to the gate, God looks at him and points at him and says, come here. And so the man wanders over there and said, yes, God. God got an iPad or something in his hands and wants to show him a video. He starts the video and he's looking at it and he recognizes the guy. It's him. He looks better. He looks fitter. He looks whatever. And he's doing all these things. And the guy looks up and he says, God, what is this? This is your life. He said, God, that's not my life. I didn't do any of those things. And God said, I know. This is the life you could have had. I gave you all the tools. I gave you everything necessarily. You chose not to be everything you could be.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Always think about that.
Yeah,
that's
actually.
You have to always pursue and go after and be the best you that you can be, which opens us up for a whole nother conversation for the next time around.
Yes.
We're going to be in. Todd, thank you, man.
That was
really,
great, man.
really had a great time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you. Hopefully we'll get a lot of viewers checking in on this.
Well, like I said, this is one of many parts. So
absolutely. And everybody in the background is pointing at me because I'm supposed to say, if you like this podcast, leave a like, share, and please subscribe. And the last saying is, please don't forget Police Coffee. PoliceCoffee.com. Half of the proceeds and of profits go to the families of fallen officers.
Nice.
So Instagram, Mike.podcast. Facebook, Mike Nunley. Okay, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it, Todd.
All right.
Good times, man.
Yeah, always. Dude, that was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.